Hi there. Thank you. I am the last presenter tonight before we get to the thing that we all came here to do, which is to have our table discussion. So after I make this presentation, we will do a table exercise where we want your input on your thoughts about what should be preserved in this important area and where new development could happen and what kind of development that should be. So we're really interested to get there. I have a short presentation to make that is going to kind of set the table for that discussion. Next slide. So this slide shows the study area that we are looking at for the 5 rooms plan. It shows some areas smaller than the overall area that are in black. And each of those black outlines is a different urban village plan that has already been adopted. So a lot of planning has already been done here. I know many of you realize that, and probably some of you have actually helped the city develop those original urban village plans. But we're here tonight to think about this as a whole and to really get ready for BART coming in 2028 or 2030 and starting service. So that's what we're here for, is to take work that's already been done, planning that's already been done, and let's adjust it to the reality of the place right now. One thing I want to mention, there are 4 urban villages in black, and we've added some additional areas that are outlined in red that are mostly residential areas around the urban villages, and those are all mostly within a half-mile radius of the BART station. A half mile is about how long, it takes about 10 minutes to walk a half mile. So this is an area that you can walk to the BART station in about 10 minutes. Next slide. So our team has been looking at the existing land uses in the area, and land use is a term that means how is the land used? Is it used to have a house on it? Is it used for business? Is it used for office or a church? That's what land use means. And we've found that the entire study area has about 33% single-family residential houses. It has about 21% of properties that have multi-family housing or apartments on them. Next slide. There's about 12% of the land that is used for retail, office, and commercial currently. The photos show retail, and they show a building with some office above. Next slide. And then there's a smaller percentage of industrial and industrial non-manufacturing, about 4%. There is about 3% of public uses, and that can include schools, and it can include churches, and then about 1% of the land is vacant. So this area is pretty built out. There's buildings on almost all the properties. There's only about 1% of the. Next slide. This slide shows what the city of San Jose general plan envisions for this area. And the map is colored different colors. And the general plan has a section in it where every parcel in the entire city has a different color. And that color means that the future use of that property can only be that thing. So it might be housing. All the yellow here is housing. Or it might be commercial. Next slide. The purple areas are commercial areas, and those are, and the kind of, I don't know what you call that, peach color, are all commercial areas. So the general plan envisions those as being commercial areas. In the general plan, it acknowledges the urban village plans, which actually call for mixed use. So in the black lines is a lot of land that's set aside for mixed use, which could be retail, it could be housing, it could be a combination of those with retail on the ground and housing above. Next slide. I mentioned the yellow being residential. There is a lot of single-family residential. There's also a number of properties with that can allow duplex or 3 houses on a property. And then the darker orange colors on the map show multifamily. So that those are properties that will be multifamily in the future. Next slide. And then the other colors on the map have to do with other things. So green is parks with playgrounds, plazas, or there's also other colors that include, it's hard to see, but the gray color on the sides of schools, actually. And perhaps you can see in the middle, this is the 5 Rose Church near the BART station. That's colored gray. That's a church and a school. Next slide. Okay, so what kind of development activity has been proposed in this area? Well, it turns out that there's been very little over the last 10 years. Actually, no projects completed in the last 10 years, no major development projects. There are some proposals. There's about 9 proposals. Some of them are very old proposals that have never been built. Some of them are more recent. There are some proposals that are under review. There's 2 projects under review right now. There's one that's been approved recently. So there is some development happening, but I would characterize it as not a lot of development right now is happening in this overall area. But with the BART coming, there probably will be interest in additional development. So next slide. We have done, and our economist has done a market study, which is an economic study to look and see what is the demand for new housing or office development. The economist has looked at trends and projections to understand the future market demand. And those projections show that there is really strong demand for housing in this area, but there is a limited demand for employment space. And employment means retail and office and manufacturing or industrial uses. So there's less of a demand for employment in this area and a bigger demand for housing as well. However, even housing is difficult to achieve right now due to a couple of factors. One is that construction costs have really been rising fast. Very difficult to build given the inflation in construction costs. So our economists found that the rise in construction costs, which are shown in blue here, are going up higher than the revenue that a developer can get for selling a house or for renting apartments. So that means with that kind of gap there, it's difficult to develop projects because developers can make money on that, and the trend seems to be in that direction still, although in the future things may change, will change, and there will be better feasibility in the future. So this is a snapshot of looking at today's market. So we're probably thinking about development happening sometime in the future and not immediately. One thing that they did find is a mid-rise residential, which is apartment buildings of about 3 to 8 stories, is likely to be the most feasible kind of development in the near term. Next slide. So there's a lot of properties in our study area that are smaller properties and that are residential. There's a lot of single-family housing. There's also a lot of smaller residential properties with 1 or 2 units on it. So these properties are likely not to change very much, but there may be some opportunity for smaller scale type of housing to occur on the small property. So we might see some new development coming, additions to housing or new units on properties, or in some cases, new housing projects replacing an older house, for example. There may be some pressure for that. There is other potential development on industrial and commercial sites, and certainly the parcel that VTA owns around the BART station is a prime site for future development, because VTA owns it, and it will be right next to the BART. And then we have found that there are some owners that have acquired multiple parcels. So that's an indication that there's somebody who might be interested in combining parcels and developing a slightly bigger project by using several parcels together. Next slide. So with that, that kind of gives maybe a snapshot of what's happening in the study area in terms of what's allowed by the general plan, what might be happening from the market standpoint. Now we want you to tell us what you'd like to see and where in the study area. So I'll describe, we're going to do a small group discussion, and on each table, there is a map on the table. And don't flip them over yet. We'll be flipping them over in a minute, but we have this map that looks like this. Shows the study area. It has some landmarks showing on it. And we would like you to discuss among the people at your table two questions. Which places should be preserved, including residential or businesses? We want you to say, I really like this, and I don't want it to change. And we want that to be part of a discussion among yourselves. And then we also want you to know where we want you to tell us where are good locations for new development. If there is to be new development, where should it go? And what kind of development should that be? And we have stickers at the tables that show different kinds of development, housing, office, parks. And we'd like you to discuss among each other and arrive at some conclusions about where you think development could go, and then put a sticker there. And at each table, we have a facilitator or two, I think, that will help guide you through that discussion. And we have facilitators that are happy to work in all the languages we have here tonight: English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Portuguese. Okay? One thing we're going to do is we're going to resort you into different tables. So Janet, are we ready to do that?